Have you ever had a bad day but still felt at peace with God? St. Ignatius is here to explain to us why. Consolation, as St. Ignatius teaches us, is where we are filled with faith, hope, and love. It's what shows us that we are aligned with God's will when we are connected with Him. It brings out the energy and the motivation in us to come together with our community. The word console means to comfort at a time of disappointment. So this shows us how God is active in our lives, even when things seem not to go our way. Conversely, the state of desolation is when we feel away from the gifts of faith, hope, and love. And it's when we have a darkness in our souls. It's when we feel ourselves moving away from God. These states of consolation and desolation are deeply rooted in our souls. These both have a tendency to inspire our behavior and almost act as a lens through which we see the circumstances in our lives. As beings, we are constantly in a state of movement, either towards God in consolation or away from God in desolation. And He uses these as a tool. For example, when our lives, our actions, and our thoughts are aligned with God's plan, He uses consolation to confirm that we are doing the right thing in our lives. Conversely, the evil spirit can mask desolation to try to take us away from doing God's plan. On the other hand, when we are not in harmony and we are in a state of desolation, God uses this state to try to remind us that we need to get back on course with His plan. On the other hand, the evil spirit, while we are in desolation, can mask a consolation for us to become okay with sin. St. Ignatius asked that we learn to understand these two states and see them as a tool that God is using to influence our lives. So what next? When we're in a state of desolation, St. Ignatius asks that we talk to God, tell Him how we feel, that we seek out companionship and look for help, that we turn our attention towards someone else who needs our help, and that we stick to the decisions that we made while we were in consolation. Lastly, when we're in consolation, St. Ignatius asks that we tell God how we feel and thank Him for being in this state. He also asks that we use this memory, almost like storing a battery, charging our souls for future use. Lastly, he asks that we use that state of consolation and apply that energy that we have to do all those things that we promised God and that we know are aligned with His plan. Thanks for watching. I hope this was helpful. For more information, check out the link below. God bless.